Okay, I'm here with Frank and Eli from The Fearless.
Hey.
I'm going to ask you guys some questions, if that's okay with you.
That'd be great.
Sure.
All right. So how'd you guys get started with music, and how'd you develop your sound?
Started
Well,
probably from watching Kiss when I was like 3,
then the Beatles,
then the Beatles.
harmonies.
I mean, not anything otherworldly. Maybe My Bloody Valentine isn't the biggest
Oh, definitely my Bloody
known,
Valentine.
but that's a huge one for us. And, we have a lot of influences. We really like everything. But we also try to make our own sound. And that's how we develop our own sound, from taking the influences and kind of molding them together.
Oh, speaking about your sound, how would you describe your sound to the average listener?
There's a lot going on there. That might be it. There's a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Definitely a little aggressive, but not too aggressive.
Yeah,
and you can dance to it.
I think melody and the ability to dance to our songs is probably the main
Your
ingredients.
harmonies.
Harmonies
And the
will
harmonies.
always be there. Yes.
Yeah, he's got nice harmonies. All right, well, let's go to the obvious question then. Who thought of the name The Fearless? Is there any meaning
This
behind
guy right here.
I was in Tower Records,
Oh.
and I picked up the first Clash album. And in my mind, I'm just looking at it like, oh, these guys are so fearless. I don't know, it popped into my mind, and that was it. I was like, oh, The Fearless. And, through the years, everyone's like, well, why don't you just be fearless? Or why don't you be the fearless whatever, the fearless bicycles, the fearless, you name it. We had to be something else. I was like, no, we're just the fearless. I don't know why that is so hard for people to comprehend, but, I mean, it rolls off the tongue. You don't forget it. And I think we really are, in a sense, because we're not afraid to take the challenges of different genres of music and writing things that aren't, for mainstream.
Right. And it makes it for a good tattoo, doesn't it?
Makes for a good tattoo. Although it doesn't say The Fearless,
Oh,
because
yeah.
if the
Right,
band's
right,
over,
right.
I could still be
Yeah.
fearless, just not The.
Good
Let's not
thinking.
forget about that big risk of being around for 15 years.
It's a big risk.
Yeah. But
We
hey,
jumped
we're
right
not
in.
stopping.
We jumped right in.
If you guys were going to go on tour, what are 3 bands you'd like to tour with?
Well, who's touring? That's the question.
It could be anything.
I know the Black Crowes are back out there. I think we'd be a good fit with them. Maybe Stone Temple Pilots. I see a lot of Stone Temple Pilots in us and them. And big influences for me, at least.
Yeah. Oh, you need one more.
You have one?
I don't know. What is it? Oh, another one.
Yeah, no.
A band that you'd like to go on tour with.
Oh, yeah. Where are we? I don't know. The Strokes.
Strokes.
Yeah.
There you go. That'd be great.
Yeah. How has COVID affected what you guys do as a band?
It hasn't, and it didn't.
It made a band because we
Yeah.
got a new drummer and we made a Grenade, our 6th
And
album.
when it started, we weren't really a band at the time. We kind of were taking a little hiatus, and then we
Right.
said, hey, let's make an album, so why not?
Yeah.
Make an album, there's nothing else to do, you can't go anywhere.
We were already sitting
Now we
around.
play it.
Yeah, we were already sitting around like doing nothing, but we wrote songs like constantly and just said we got to make another album. We'll
What
play
else
drums.
could you do?
Hence Grenade,
Mm.
and hence Nick Florio, who was actually in the band years ago. So it's like a full circle deal.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. So, what's your take on the current state of pop rock?
What is that?
I don't know.
Pop rock.
I feel like if you dig a little, you can find some, but I guess if you have to dig, it's not really pop, so.
I don't think there's any rock in pop.
Yeah.
I think the idea of rock is run out of original ideas. I don't think it's so bad. I know there's a ton of rock bands out there. I would never say rock is dead, because it just could never be. Because people are still going to play it and listen to it. But
Nobody's
I think,
standing out.
Right. There's no original, like, wow, look what these guys are doing with the guitar and with their songs and whatever. I don't think there's anything that hasn't been covered, unfortunately. But there's a lot of great rock bands out there, don't get me wrong.
Well, then what do you think about the current state of the music scene in New York, where you guys are?
I think it's good, especially Long Island, especially Suffolk County.
Yeah, it seems like it's blowing up.
It's thriving. A lot of singer-songwriters, acoustic players, which is great. I think the singer-songwriter thing is back 50 years later. The Neil Youngs, the Joni Mitchell thing, you know. Paul Simon, like you and a guitar and that's it. Jim Croce. That whole singer-songwriter, that's what people are doing. When you go to open mics and you play gigs, we're usually the odd man out because we're just three-piece, loud, abrasive thing that no one was expecting, so.
Yeah, it's good for a nice little change. So, what's your take on the royalties that streaming services pay out to artists?
They give you royalties?
I'm assuming you guys haven't seen that.
I saw something. We got a check
Did
for sales, not streaming.
Hmm.
For the Fearless album, the third album, the Blue Eyeball album. Like we surpassed something and got money for it, which is great. I think that's our biggest selling album, believe it or not. There's such a thing in 2010 and beyond.
That's a good album.
Streaming, yeah. Now you know there's no music. If there's no rock, that's one thing, but there's definitely no music business as far as the way the business was.
Yeah.
You're not selling records, you know. So record companies are taking a big hit, and you got to make your money off touring and merchandise, and that's good in a way. I think bands finally deserve to not be taken advantage of and say, I could do it myself. I don't need to sign to your major label.
All right. So what's next for the Fearless?
Shows. Lots of them.
Yeah.
And maybe another album.
Well, we just put out a new single, so we're in the recording aura, if you want to call it that. So, you know, I'm always writing. There's always riffs floating around. There's thousands of riffs, but no real set in stone tunes. But if we get the itch, there could be a seventh. We'll see what happens. But shows, yeah. I just want to play shows for the rest of the year, and then when it's New Year's, I think we'll all take a look at each other and say, okay, now what the hell are we gonna do?
All right. Well, that's about it for the questions. You guys got any shout outs to anybody? On Long Island, you guys?
I want to
play
say
with?
hi to the guys at work, my mom. Band-wise, I think the bands we played with last week was a really stellar gig. So that's Simple Reality, yay. And Sorry in Advance. And New Blood Boilers.
New Blood Boilers.
It was a great show. So
Yes.
those guys,
Yes.
we'll be playing with all of them again. We got gigs coming.
All right. That's it. That's Frank and Eli from the Fearless.